I think that Halo ODST is the most underrated Halo campaign in the series. I just don't hear people talking about it as much as the other Halo games. And I mean, it's kind of understandable since at the time, it was the most controversial Halo game. This was, of course, before every new Halo game was the most controversial Halo game. But Microsoft thought it was a good idea to charge $60 for a DLC, and people were not happy about it. So what does Microsoft do? Do they reduce the price to a much more reasonable $20 or $30? Nope. They double down by saying there's enough new content to warrant a $60 price tag. Mind you that this game didn't even have its own multiplayer. It just gave you Halo 3's multiplayer with all the DLC. But we'll get into more of the controversy in the review, so let's drop right in. The game starts with some reading. A lot of reading. The game takes place during Halo 2 in the Battle of New Mombasa. It also explains that teams of orbital drop shock troopers, also known as ODSTs, are going to assault the Covenant carrier. While it is a suicide mission, the ODSTs are the best of the best. Then a cutscene opens showing your squad. You got Mickey in the red, Dutch in the yellow, and Romeo in the blue. You also get introduced to Sergeant Buck, the leader of the squad, and also to this lady named Dare, although Buck calls her Veronica, so it seems that there's some history between the two. While Romeo and Dutch argue about which gear to take with them, Buck says Dare is naval intelligence, so she's the new boss.
So check your mouths, find your chairs, and get set for a combat drop.
Then you get introduced to a character you play named Rookie, who is a silent protagonist. You get in the drop pod and start dropping, and this is just a badass scene in my opinion. Just as you're about to land on the carrier, Dare says to adjust trajectory, which wasn't part of the plan. Well, if you played Halo 2, or have seen my video, you'd know that something not so good is about to happen. You wake up 6 hours after landing, still in your drop pod. You hit these 4 green buttons and hop out of the pod, which is a long ass drop. Again, you're not a Spartan, so no regenerating health. So you have to find these health packs around the area. You also have this cool looking visor that highlights enemies and your surroundings since it's dark as fuck. And since you're not a Spartan, your objective isn't to save the galaxy, it's simply just to find your squad. And that is actually part of the controversy. Apparently people want to play as Spartans and didn't like it when you didn't. This part of the game is really cool and spooky. You're free to roam around the streets of New Mombasa. Of course there's Covenant around, so it's not just completely boring, but it's a very unique part of the game since it's a kind of an open world section. After wandering the streets for a while, you contact the superintendent, which is the city's AI system, and it basically just runs everything in the city. It gives you a map so you can find your squad, and you see how it's kind of like an open world area. It shows you a last known area for one of your squad mates, so you start heading there. You reach the building and see a ton of dead Covenant. You follow the bodies up the stairs and see Dare's helmet wedged into the TV screen and start to inspect it. Then the mission ends. This is the only time I'll rate this level since you come back here multiple times, so I'll give it a 9 out of 10. The opening is awesome, and it's really eerie walking around the streets alone. This mission is a flashback where you play as Buck immediately after the drop.
My hatch won't open. How about yours?
Works great.
I forgot to mention that Buck is played by Nathan Fillion, so mad respect to my man. It's then confirmed that Dare and Buck dated in the past, but broke up because of her job. You see Covenant heading toward her position, so now you have to go. So this mission reuses the streets of New Mombasa, but obviously it's daytime and there's hella Covenant about. Also, I forgot to mention the new weapons in the game. There's only 2, but they're pretty sick. The Halo 2 Magnum makes a return, but this time with a suppressor and a much faster fire rate. And in my opinion, it's way better than the Halo 3 Magnum. The other weapon is the SMG from Halo 3, but again, it has a suppressor and a scope. Still pretty cold though. You fight through a ton of Covenant in this game, and I kinda wish that they committed more to the fact that you aren't some super soldier. Yeah, the ODSTs are highly trained, but the amount of Covenant you kill in this game can rival the Chief. But that would mean reworking the entire AI system from the ground up to be harder and act different. So I understand why they didn't do that. After killing some hunters, you reach Dare's crash site and clear it, only to find out she isn't there. Then this weird ass alien thing tries to fondle you.
Whoa! Whoa!
Now you've got Romeo to thank, and he's just a massive smartass.
Hey, Romeo, you got your ears on? Oh, I get it. Permission to speak, smartass.
Go fuck yourself.
Unfortunately, he hasn't heard from anyone else from the squad.
Did she ever tell you what you wanted?
No. Never.
Oh, I get it. It's a double meaning because they were dating. Anyway, Buck says the mission is now to get all of his men out of the city, and the mission ends. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. You were just fighting Covenant the whole time in the same area of the city, so I can't give it too much brownie points, but Buck is my favorite ODST. So like I said, after every flashback, you play as the rookie in the present, and it would just be dumb to rate the new Mombasa streets again. So I'll just rate it alongside the flashback from now on. This time while walking through the city, you are accompanied by that somber ass music. Damn, this shit just makes me sad. You also see some brutes planting a bomb on one of those alien things, so it kind of gives you the idea that they were being forced to do this shit. You reach the city center and spot what looks like some kind of drone or something. Then another flashback happens. This time playing as Dutch, he lands on a nice beach and has to link up with friendly forces, which luckily aren't too far away. This part is pretty much just a vehicle section, but it's sick since I got to chop a bitches. Unfortunately, I have to get out because the Marine won't stop bitching at me.
Come on, we'll need the hog if we're gonna take out all this Covenant armor. Rupert, get the warthog and drive.
You clear the area and move on to the second area, where you find some Marines hunkered down and being bombed by wraiths. So you just gotta drive around them till the gunner destroys it. After that, you cross this bridge and see the space elevator get destroyed, which is pretty cool looking. Now you gotta find the colonel who was right under that shit when it fell, so pretty good chance he's dead. But you know how I'm a shitty driver in Halo? Fucking explain how this shit happens. Are you fucking serious? You take this jump and the Marines I had with me disappear somehow, and some MCU shit happens.
Lord, I didn't train to be a pilot. So, was that a yes or a no?
Then the mission ends. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. The music in the streets part was S tier, and the vehicle combat was decently fun. Back in the present, you now have to make your way across the whole ass map, and some Dark Souls ass music is playing. This time you fight a lot more Covenant, including hunters, so that's fun. You reach the area and find a Gauss turret and see another flashback. This time you're playing as Mickey 90 minutes after the drop. He of course landed by himself, but he joined some snarky ass Marines.
Hey, where's the fight at?
Take a guess, genius.
Yeah, I don't know why he left cover there, but you have to save the Marines, and to help you with that, you can drive the goddamn tank, which is always pretty badass. You're pretty much in the tank the whole mission, which you guys know I'm not too crazy about, but Halo somehow makes it pretty fun. I don't know if it's the enemies or the tank mechanics itself, but it's not that bad. You head through this gate and see Dutch, and now have to save his ass. You get out and meet up with Dutch and shit on some more Covenant. You now have to defend this rally point and help the Marines evac. So yeah, tank section and a holdout section back to back. That's pretty annoying. Not to mention you have a Wraith to destroy, but nothing to do it with. So you pretty much just gotta walk up to it and chuck nades. It's not very safe. After you clear the area, a cutscene plays where they do that meme. Anyway, Mick and Dutch find this cop, so they go with him, and the mission ends. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. The tank section I don't have a problem with, but it's just the fact that they had a holdout section right after. But still a decent mission. Back in the present, you of course head to another area of the map. I know it seems pretty boring, but I'm cutting out a lot of the Easter eggs and shit that happens on the journey. Yes, a lot of it is just walking around, but hey, you're just trying to find your squad, man. You head to the area where you held out as Mickey and head through the same tunnel. On the other side, you see this huge cube-shaped building blown up, and you know I had to IGN that shit. You inspect this remote detonator, and a flashback plays. Playing as Dutch, Mickey is planting bombs on the bridge, and once you get control, you actually have to arm the charges yourself. You head up the watchtower and blow the bridge. Now you gotta fall back inside the building, but there's a shit ton of Covenant between you and the building. After using every weapon known to man to hold back the Covenant, there's just too many, so you head inside, and you see that the cops are actually planting bombs to deny Covenant classified intel or some shit. So it's another holdout section. You got a turret with unlimited ammo unless you accidentally detach it like a dumbass, but you've got 3 major choke points to hold, so it's not too difficult. After 5 minutes of defending, you take the elevator to the roof for evac, and guess what? There's hella Covenant on the roof. After clearing it, you hop on the Pelican and the mission ends. A cutscene plays where they get in contact with Buck and the building explodes. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It was an okay mission. The beginning was cool, but the last part lacked some imagination in my opinion. Now you have to head back all the way across the map, and it's a pretty long distance to walk, while also fighting Covenant. You reach the area and see a sniper hanging on this wire. Bro, stop. You ain't Master Chief. You ain't pulling that shit. In the flashback, you play as Romeo, and you and Buck are waiting for evac. That's being flown by Mickey and Dutch.
Infrajack!
We're losing her! Watch out!
Ah! Mickey, Dutch! Status! Alive or dead, we're pulling them out. You hear me?
Unfortunately, it gets shot down, so now you have to go through the roof of the police building to get to the crash site. You battle on the rooftops for a while, and it's an interesting area to fight in since, you know, you got all this elevation and shit. Also, they give me a sniper, so you already know, man. You reach this helipad, and Mickey and Dutch make this sick-ass bridge with some construction thingy that sways in the wind. Now that you got 4/5 of the squad together, you have to hold out on this roof. You got turrets and also rocket turrets that make light work of the Banshees. And that's the rest of the mission. Kind of disappointing, but whatever. Eventually, a brute chieftain drops in and shits on Romeo, and this sick-ass scene plays where all the other squad mates start jumping him.
They jumping me! They jumping me!
Then the mission ends. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. The ending cutscene was pretty cool, but that was a long-ass holdout section, but it's sick seeing the squad fight together. Back in the present, you have to travel to another area, and it seems like there's more Covenant on the streets now. You reach the area and pick up a biofoam canister, which in the cutscene where you play as Buck, you use it on Romeo to fix a punctured lung. That shit's pretty useful, not gonna lie. Again, this part just solidifies that these are humans and not super soldiers with shields and shit. They head down this escalator and see that there's no way out, but then you see a phantom, which you're gonna steal.
It's landing. Now's our chance. Mickey, you're with me.
Suck your mom.
You clear all the Covenant and Mickey jumps in the Phantom and you jump in a Banshee and now have to cover the Phantom. But you gotta be careful because the bitch ass grunts with fuel rod cannons can just shit on you. You spot what they call a squid house, but I think that's just like a Covenant hive or some shit. You now have to get out and open the big ass doors for the Phantom. After that, it's pretty much more of the same thing. Kill Covenant, destroy hives, you know. You have to get out and open doors one more time, and you get to set off a cool chain reaction, which you barely escape. Buck makes a bold ass jump, and they're out. Then he remembers Dare, and he knows where she is. Underground, where there's a ton of those drone things. Then the mission ends. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It's fun flying around in the Banshee for like the first 5 minutes. Then the other 10, it gets pretty repetitive. The rest of the missions take place in the present, and Rookie hears Dare's message, so now you have to find underground access. There's a ton of Covenant and I get shit on. You find an elevator shaft and start climbing down that bitch. Once at the bottom, Dare says she's on sub-level 9, and if we do some high-level math, we have to go down 2 levels. You start heading down while fighting Covenant, and you do that for quite a while until you meet this cop, who's talking to someone named Virgil. The superintendent opens the data stack and lets out some drones. And this dude might have schizophrenia or something because he keeps talking to Virgil even though I'm the only one here. You reach another stack and drop down, but unfortunately the cop wasn't so lucky, and he gets shit on by some bugs. But now you're on sub-level 9, so after fighting a little more Covenant, you reach Dare and knock on the door. She lets you in and she tells you that her mission is to secure the superintendent's data, but the catch is that you gotta go through the hive to get there. Not a W. You start fighting and a ton of bugs just start shitting on you. Luckily, you can one-shot them, but it's still a lot of fucking bugs. You reach the data center and see one of those engineer things, and this is Virgil, the thing that the cop was talking to. And Dare says that these are slaves to the Covenant, so all the other ones you killed, yeah, they were slaves. Somehow it has all the superintendent's data, so we have to escort it out. You see Bruce come in on the cams, and you also see Buck, who's here to save Dare like a simp. Virgil can give you like an overshield, but you have to be in range, and it only lasts like 3 bullets, so it fucking sucks. You fight your way to Buck and reach a service elevator, and the mission ends. I give it a 7 out of 10. Pretty much just going room to room killing bitches, but I guess the hive area looked cool.
Lord, that thing stinks.
This mission starts with Buck and Dare arguing about the mission. Then she just kisses him out of nowhere, and even Virgil is like, what the fuck? Now you have to fight through the streets in daytime until you reach an elevator to this highway. You see carriers and they start arguing again. Virgil gets this big riot van working, and you and Buck hop in the Warthog.
And try to keep up.
Take my advice, rookie. You ever fall for a woman?
Make sure she's got balls.
Now, I did not like this part at all. You basically have to defend Dare in the Warthog with Buck shooting, but it just lasts so goddamn long. And also, don't get in the way of that thing because it will just shit on you. Eventually, you get a tank, but you're still just on the highway. You see the Covenant carriers start glassing the planet, just like Reach according to Buck, who was there. Now you have to get off the highway, and since it's the last mission, it has to be something cool, right? Nope. Just a holdout section. You know, I would let it slide usually since it's just a DLC, but not this time since it's a $60 expansion, which is asking a lot. After the holdout section, you see the Phantom, and a carrier starts to cannon.
What can I say? It was a hell of a night.
Then the game ends with a cutscene of Dare and Bucky, who seem to be on good terms. Then another cutscene plays where the GOAT Sergeant Johnson comes in and makes an understanding with the engineer. I'll give that last mission a 4 out of 10. It was kind of anticlimactic, but more importantly, it was pretty boring. I think they ran out of time or something. It was just like, yeah, make them ride along this highway for like 10 minutes. Even though the game kind of fizzled out at the end, I still think it's underrated. I mean, it's not the worst Halo campaign by far, but it's also not the best. The average person probably won't like it, but if you love Halo, I think you'll appreciate the game a lot more. I'll give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. They tried something new and unique, but just didn't have the time to fully flesh it out. Now, the game just had Halo 3's multiplayer, but it also introduced a new mode called Firefight, which is basically just a survival mode where you try to last as long as possible. It's 4-player co-op, so it's pretty fun with friends, and a welcome addition to the franchise. And it had this funny trailer where Sergeant Johnson talks about it. Speaking of trailers, Bungie also dropped one of the hardest trailers of all time. They made this live action trailer, and I definitely recommend you go watch it. Seriously guys, it's like one of the best trailers I've ever seen. But that's my review on the game. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and of course like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.